distributors. So I'm excited to talk to you guys a little bit about this. I'll give you a little bit of an overview about me first, so you know who I am. I'm the director of sales in the East region, and been with Shackley for a couple of months now, and been in the industry for about 15 years. I've worked at several different companies and had my hands in the mix there and been able to help them achieve amazing things. But I'm excited about what we're doing here at Shackley right now because of the Prove It Challenge. So let's go ahead and dive into it. First, I wanted to just say, at the end of the day, we always got to start with the end in mind, right? So it's so important to understand when you begin to work your business, you got to start with the end in mind. And what I mean by that is, since this is a people business, it's a relationship business, you've got to determine who you want to be building relationships with. Okay. One of my favorite books, it's an amazing book. And if you haven't read it, I would really recommend it. It's called From Good to Great. And the premise of the book is how you can go from a state of being good to a state of being great, right? How do you just have okay results to great results? And one of the chapters in the book, it talks about how important it is to have the right people on the bus with you. If you have the right people in the right seats on the bus, you can drive the bus anywhere you want to go. What I would challenge you guys to do, first of all, is to determine and be very clear with who it is that you want to attract in your business, right? Who is it that you want to join your Prove It Challenge, and why? And if they join your Prove It Challenge, are they going to be like the type of person who's going to be very well set up to do amazing things as a distributor? Okay. So that's what I mean by starting with the end in mind. And what I would tell you guys, and this is something that I talk a lot about. You're going to hear me talk, as you get to know me better, you're going to hear me talk a lot about culture and action, right? Preferably a culture of action. And in culture, the interesting thing is, as you begin to attract the right people, you're going to be able to determine what your team culture really is, and how and what the feel is of your team. And what I would challenge you guys to do now is determine exactly what you want your team culture to be. Sorry. So the definition of culture that I've really loved is values, beliefs, and behaviors that are passed on from one generation to the next. Okay. So in determining who you want to attract, what I would challenge you guys to do is look at, what are the values, beliefs, and behaviors you want your team culture to be based around. And you can be, as you begin to understand what those values, beliefs, and behaviors are, then you can be very strategic, very, I'm sorry, very intentional about who you're talking to. So once you've determined what the culture is you want to create, then you can determine what people you're going to be talking to that will allow you to make that culture happen. That will empower you to make that culture take place. So I would look at 4 to 5 things, and this is one of the things I want you guys to do from today's calls. One of the takeaways, that you could do it now or you can do it later, is write down 4 to 5 things that will really determine the ideal person that you're looking for. And remember, who you're looking for is somebody who would be a great in the Prove It Challenge, but also somebody who would be a great in the business, who would be your next director, or heck, your next master coordinator. You want to find somebody who's gonna just pick up that ball and run with it, right? So things to think about maybe would be, do they love health? Are they passionate about health? Are they passionate about helping others? Are they passionate about, empowering themselves and taking their life to a whole new level and getting more out of life than what they're currently getting, right? I can tell you right now out there are hundreds of thousands of people that live in the United States who could fit into this mold, right? There's a lot of people out there who you could be attracting, maybe tens of thousands of people, let's say, maybe hundreds of thousands, I don't know. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of them, and you can really identify exactly how to connect with them and build a relationship with them. Then you're setting yourself up for some serious success in terms of, getting the right people on board, and forming a culture of empowerment, a culture of excitement, a culture of growth. And when people, and at first, you might just find one, right? You might just find one person, but that one person is money in the bank. They're the exact right person. Then the culture becomes a little stronger. Then you find another person, and then all of a sudden it gets stronger, and it just keeps going from there, and you can create something truly magical and beautiful. And honestly, the culture you're going to create is going to be just as important as the products of the Prove It Challenge themselves. That culture of empowerment is exactly what people are looking for in their lives. So if you match that up with an amazing mission that we have here in Shackley to help people be healthier, you are going to be in a very, very good spot. Okay, so that's number one, is identifying who exactly you want to attract to your business. So write those 4 to 5 things down that will determine your culture you're shooting for, and then begin to have conversations with people and connect with people based off of those things. Okay. Oh, one last tip there. People who like to help others oftentimes can be identified by their career. Nurses, doctors, nutritionists, physical, let's say here, physical trainer, or what is it, personal trainers, those types of things, right? So those types of careers obviously are based around people who are passionate about helping other people. So that's just another little nugget. Okay. The next thing I wanted to do, and if I can here, I'd like to share my screen really quick. Is that okay, Amanda?
For sure. Let me stop mine. There you
Okay.
go.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go to the whiteboard section here, and hopefully this will be important for you guys to see. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit about something that I call the salmon ladder principle. So here you have a river that's winding, and then it eventually hits a dam. And at the dam, there's a reservoir at the top, and then the river eventually flows on. Well, when cute little fish are swimming, they hit this dam, they can't jump over it. It's too big of an obstacle, okay, for them to get over. Uh, and it's just like in this business, we say that it's the start that stops most people. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that the start is reduced from a huge jump, like jumping from the bottom of the dam to the top, to a small hop. And in the northeast or northwest, sorry, in the northwest, in the Rockies, and there's a lot of mountains, there's a lot of reservoirs and dams, and there's what we call salmon ladders. So these salmon ladders are pretty simple concepts, and essentially what it is you've got the dam here, but what happens is they have little steps, little pools, little ponds that go forward, and the salmon can jump from pool to pool to pool to pool. Okay. And that's how they get up and over the dam and are able to spawn and do what they need to do. So we want to do the same thing in your business. Okay. What we want to do is we want to start at the very bottom, and we're going to start with just the number of people who know you, right? Who you're connected with. We'll just say, for just simplicity purposes, that this is your group of friends, your circle of influence, right? You're going to start off with your group of friends, and then from there you're going to go to an experience. Okay. And you want to provide an awesome experience that's going to help highlight your culture of your team, and that culture of growth, that culture of empowerment, that culture of fun and engagement. Then from there, you're going to have your customers, you're going to have your distributors, and then ultimately what you're looking for at the end of the day are your leaders. So you want to make sure that you're, the top of the dam for you guys is creating your new directors, your new senior directors, and more. What I would tell you guys right now is, in order to get more people into your Prove It Challenge, you want to take people where I see the breakdown currently is there's a lot of people who have a good number of like people in their friend group. When I say friends, it's more like your circle of influence. So this could be how many people you're friends with on Facebook, your followers on Instagram, and the people you know in person. These are like your fishing holes, let's say. Um, the problem is to get somebody from fishing hole to customer sometimes can be difficult. That can be, and some people will be able to make that jump, but most people won't. So what we want to do is we want to build the trust level. We want to put this, this step in here by providing an experience for people that's really going to help them trust you more and have higher confidence in what you're doing. That way, when you talk to them a little bit more, or when you talk to them or invite them about joining a Prove It challenge, they're going to be much more inclined to say yes because they know you and trust you more. I use an example sometimes when I'm describing this, um, and why that's important about how I met my wife. I'll show you a picture of her. So this is my beautiful wife right here, my two kiddos. And that's me when I was a few pounds heavier. But I met my wife at the Salt Lake City airport, and I like to say, like, if I, the first time I met my wife, the first thing I noticed about her is I thought she was beautiful. But if I would have went right up to her and gave her a big fat kiss on the lips, how do you think our relationship would have gone? It wouldn't have gone very well, right? It would have really been in a bad spot. And the reason why is because the level of trust wasn't there yet. It took, several experiences between her and I before we got to that level in our relationship. So the same thing applies to your business. So let's talk a little bit about these experiences, what they can be. At the end of the day, I like to promote three. The first one is free groups. Okay, so free groups, and this one takes a little bit of faith and a little bit of confidence that what you're doing is going to provide some outcome. So what I mean by a free group is you can host something that will really highlight your culture. So, for example, if you're super passionate about personal development, you could do a free group that's based around a book, maybe Girl Wash Your Face or something like that. Another thing that you could do that really pertains to Shackley very well is you could run a free clean eating group. I know somebody right now that's doing one of those, and she was highlighted on the Monday morning Mission Possible call today for being one of our top recruiters. So she's really smashing it right now with free groups. And really what the idea here is that they're going to get a taste of who you are and what your team culture is and what you're all about. So let's say you do a free clean eating group or a free fitness group. Maybe it's a free yoga. I'm sorry. Maybe it's a free yoga group. So you do that let's say 1 week. I wouldn't recommend anything over 2 weeks. Usually 1 week's great. What you can do is you can attract the right people by getting people who are interested about, eating clean or personal development or business or any of those types of things. You get them in your group and you add some free value there. Maybe you have some cool recipes. Maybe you have a check-in process where people you have a Facebook group and people need to post every day that they're toeing the line with their fitness or their nutrition. And then from there, if people engage, what I would recommend is doing a free group of at least, I'd say the sweet spot generally that I've found is between 50 and 100 people. And you can run these free groups together with maybe a power partner or another distributor that you really get along with and you could work well with together. So you run a free group of 50 to 80 people in there. You provide some, free value. You get them to check in, and every time they check in during that week, let's say they get entered into a drawing, and you're going to give away like a free Shackley water bottle or a journal or something like that at the end of the week. Helps people continue to engage, and it gets them excited. And honestly, you provide this culture of growth and empowerment, and you tell them, hey, you're going to get into this, you're going to get out of this what you put into it, right? Just know that some of your people are not going to engage all the time, and that's fine. Some of the platforms you might think about doing a free group on, a Facebook group. You can do a free group on Instagram, although I don't have a lot of experience with that. And I've seen some work really well on WhatsApp as well. So at the end of the day, what you can do is you start off and you say, hey, look, guys, thanks for coming into this group. I'm super excited to have you here. I'm glad you're passionate about yoga or, nutrition or whatever. And then just say, I'm excited about this group. I'm super excited as well about my next Prove It Challenge group that's going to be starting on such and such a date. This free group is really kind of the appetizer. The main course really is the Prove It Challenge group. And I'll tell you more about that later. And then you just keep going. You know what I mean? Give them that free value. Then you let your group shine, how cool it is, the engagement, the empowerment. You got to make it fun. And you got to be consistent about posting and engaging. And you ask other people to do that as well. So free group is one way that you can provide this experience so people can get a peek into what your team is like, right? So the next thing you can do, honestly, it's really fun, is the sneak peek. And for simplicity purposes, sneak peek, I'm just gonna write SN, or wait, sneak peek SP, sorry. You can tell that I'm a little tired and sick. So sneak peek, and the good thing about sneak peeks is that it really lets the culture of what being a Shackley distributor is shine. So what you can do is say, hey, you can tease this on social media and say, hey, I get to work from home. I get to work from where I want. I get to work with who I want, and I get to work when I want. And it's nice to have all those freedoms, but I still get to do something that's empowering and help bring in income to my family. If you want a sneak peek about what I do and how I do it, join me on such and such a date, right? And then you can put together I like Zoom. I like a Zoom link because people can jump on, they can join, you can see them, they can see you. And the interaction is a little bit better than when people are just joining you on a Facebook Live, because it's very kind of a one-way street that way. So the sneak peek is great, and honestly, the one of the best things you can do is talk about what your day-to-day, what your story is. Some of the people that I've seen that have put sneak peeks to really, really good effect. I mean, these people literally, I mean, this is somebody from a different company, but they're using the same technique. This person was recruiting like 30 to 40 people to their team as distributors in a month, and her bread and butter was sneak peeks. And all she did is she told her story. She talked about her journey and how the products had helped her, and why she loves what she does, and how she gets to work from where she wants, and what the benefits are. And she just shared from her heart about what a blessing it is to be part of Shackley. And I hope that you guys understand and know that as well. I mean, honestly, a quote that somebody gave me, it was one of my favorite motivational speakers. His name was Frank Barrett. And he told me, said, Joe, if you can find a need and fill it, or find a wound and heal it, you'll be a successful person in business, right? And I'm looking at where we are right now with our national health crisis. We've never been in a worse spot ever. Heart disease is primarily a preventable disease, but yet it's the number one killer of people in the United States. Type 2 diabetes is just spinning out of control. We've got all these types of things. The levels of obesity have never been higher. People's energy levels have never been lower. What they're eating has never been worse. So essentially right now we have, this harvest that's just ready for us to go after it, but we need to make sure that we're creating this culture that's empowering, this culture of confidence, this culture of fun, because making good healthy choices with your nutrition, staying active, doing those types of things, those aren't easy, and you need that support group. So anyway, share your story, share what you love about the business, how it's worked for you, why you love what's going on. And here's the thing too, it doesn't have to be just your story. You might pair up with 2 or 3 other distributors and say, hey, my name is Allison, this is Jessica, and Heather is, joining us as well. We're each going to share our story with you today. And you each take, 5 to 7 minutes each. And then at the end, you say, look, if this interests you and you'd like to hear more, let's talk after the call. Or maybe if there's people that are on the call, you can even touch bases with them afterwards and say, okay, thanks for joining me. I was super glad that you were able to make it. On a scale of 1 to 10, what did you think about what you heard? 10 being like, I would love to be a distributor myself, or one being totally not my gig. You know what I mean? And then from there, if they fall in let's say a 6 or above, you can talk to them. If they're a 6 or 7, okay, what are the concerns? What's holding you back? And if they're an 8, 9, or 10, you're pretty good. They might have some very minor concerns. 10, they're chomping at the bit to make it happen, regardless of what you say. If they're under 5, then you might talk to them about being a customer, or talk to them about being a source of referrals, right? Maybe they join your Prove It Challenge and they see what it's like, and then ultimately they change their mind. They decide they do want to be a distributor. So these are just some different things that you can do to close the call strong when you do a sneak peek. So in terms of sneak peeks, you're probably not going to want to have like as many people as you would in your free group, obviously, because it would be difficult for you to effectively follow up with all of them. But I'd say, a good number to have in a sneak peek would be 10 to 20 people, especially if you're doing it with other distributors, because if you split that up, maybe you got 7 to 10 people to follow up with each. So that's a really good process to get people into your Prove It Challenge, or maybe even get them to become a distributor right off the bat. So it's an effective technique. Third is going to be a event. So these could be online events, but I feel like having events in person are super powerful if you can do them. But what I would urge you to do is make your culture shine, make it fun, make it interactive. The events that I'm seeing that are working across the industry, not just here at Shackley, but across the industry, are experiential events, right? It goes very much along with what I'm saying about the experience. You don't want to just get them there and then you, sorry, you have a PowerPoint and you basically speak for 30, 40 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, and then the event gets over and it's done. What you might think about doing is doing like an event where they can come and try a shake, and they can, and you do hot yoga together, or you do, a really fun experiential thing where you actually get together and people can feel the culture. They get to know who you are. They get to enjoy themselves and say, okay, I could totally see myself doing this. This is fun. This is awesome. Right. So events are definitely cool. If you can do them in person, that's wonderful. And what I would recommend that you do, and I've seen this work in, I'll tell you a story about something that happened in the city I used to work with. I used to work in Dallas, and we put together a group of distributors who we asked to work with each other and to host an event. And they went on and organized it where they split up the tasks amongst themselves. So it wasn't all falling on the shoulders of one person. And from their, from providing great experience, at the end of the day, they got more people to come to their event each and every time they held an event, until 1,800 people were coming to their event. Right. And then it was like a problem of like, okay, where in Dallas could we rent a room that could fit 1,800 people in it? So it ended up being an amazing thing. But really, I'd tell you guys, in terms of holding events, whether it's online or whether that's in person, it's a quote from Walt Disney that I like to share about that. And he would say to his theme park members that do whatever you're doing so well that people will want to see it again and bring their friends, right? So if you're going to do an event in your area and you post and you get people to come, they're going to want to come to the next one for sure. And not only are they going to come, they're going to want to bring other people to see it also, right? And that can be done if you, one, have faith that it can happen, and two, remember that culture that you're wanting to create, right? You start with the end in mind, with that culture. Okay, so those are the three different ways, free groups, sneak peeks, and events that you can produce a really fun culture and a a cultural experience, let's say, and for people. And that experience is going to help you get people from the friend group to the customer group. That kind of looks like a L. I guess I'll make it a C, better C. So yeah, you can get them from there, or you can even take them, if you're lucky, from friend to distributor, with something like a sneak peek, right? So those are some good techniques. From there, the other thing that's really cool is, here's the beauty of the Prove It Challenge. And the reason why it's could be a game changer for you and your teams. And the simple fact is that, right now, what we've got going on is people make it to customer right now. They make it to this step, but a lot of them aren't making it to the distributor step. We're losing them in that process. Okay. And one of the reasons why I feel like that's happening is maybe somebody who's in the Prove It Challenge only wants health benefits, but they're not passionate about helping other people, right? They're not passionate about, running their own business. Maybe they're not in the right age demographic. Maybe they don't, maybe they're 80 years old and they don't know how to use social media. Um, Not to say that all 80-year-olds don't, some do. Um, so essentially, we got to start with the right people as in your customers, and then we can get them to transition to distributors. But outside of that as well, what's honestly important is running a good Prove It challenge. If you run a good interactive Prove It challenge, you're going to create this culture, this close knit culture of empowerment. So there's a couple of things that I would recommend that are important for running a Prove It challenge. So I'm going to just write PC here, Prove It challenge. Number one is you want to make sure that you're inviting to a specific start date. Okay. So you want to make sure that you are all inviting to a specific start date. And the reason why that's important is because if everybody starts at different times, then it's harder for them to interact. It's harder for them to relate. It's harder for them to really build a bond. So the start date is really important. And the cool thing is if you and maybe some of the other people that you're working with as distributors and business builders rally behind a specific start date, you can get everybody to join all at one time. And this is especially important for doing the cleanse, because the cleanse is hard. And if you do it as a group, that peer support will be empowering, and it will get people to stay on the wagon when the road gets bumpy. And that road will get bumpy when they're when they're making that change in their diet, whether that's in the 7-day cleanse or eating healthy for the full 30 days, right? So a specific start date is going to be important. Then after that, what you want to do is make sure that you have a culture of peer support. Okay. So I'm just going to abbreviate that. Good culture of peer support. I have to like draw a short line for the dot to show up. I'm like, why won't it leave a period? Okay, so a culture of peer support. And you want to set the standard right from the beginning and just say, hey, look, guys, what you put into this group is what you're going to get out of it. And if you don't engage and you don't lift other people up, then they're not going to do that for you. And if nobody's doing it, then it's not going to really help anyone. But if everybody's doing it, it will help everyone. And we'll all get better results, and we'll all stay more active, and we'll all have more fun. So what you put in is what you get out. Not only am I expecting you to comment and cheer each other on, but I'm asking you to do that, right? And not only is it okay, but I'm asking you to do it. So culture of peer support, honestly, is going to be a big deal. And here's the cool thing is you want to, number 3 here is going to be engagement from you. So engagement, and I'm horrible at spelling on here. So I'm just going to abbreviate that as ENG, engagement. So you want to engage with the people. You want, when they post, when they're commenting, make it fun, lift them up, cheer them on, ask them to actually participate. Do posts in your challenge groups that's going to be open-ended, right? So here's some social media tips, and these are completely universal on something you can put into practice, whether it's in in a challenge group or just in your day-to-day tasks. So, and that is, you want to stick with the 3 E's. And the first E is entertain. Second E is engage. Third E is educate, right? And if you can engage, entertain, and educate in your posts, if you can hit all 3 of those on the head, that's like a killer post. And you're going to attract a lot more people with those. People are actually going to participate, right? So make it fun with the entertain portion. Um, the engaging portion could be using a crisp image, something that's like, sometimes I see people honestly on their profile picture, and it looks like they took their profile picture in a dark closet with a 1990s flip phone. You know what I mean? And it's like, come on, guys, nobody can see your face. Let's get that crisp, vibrant picture with the bold colors and all that stuff going on. So that will catch people's eye. But then also your engaging portion is going to be what you post, what you say, right? Maybe it's a cool story. Maybe it's something that's going to emotionally impact them. Uh, that's engaging from that level. Maybe it's because you're actually asking them to engage, right? A lot of people on YouTube are extremely successful with their YouTube channels. You watch their videos and they'll say, if you like this video, remember to like and subscribe. They're asking their viewers to engage, right? So maybe you post up a recipe for people and just be like, okay, give this one a shot. I promise you, you're going to love it. It's going to be great. Maybe it's a recipe for their shake. And then just say, post your picture below of your shake that you took today. Or, if you tried this recipe, let me know how it went. So you're asking them to participate. So as people participate and engage, you can recognize them and you can, shout them out, or you can even do small prizes and things to make it fun each week to make sure people continue to engage. Now, the cool part about that is as you are actually providing that experience for your customers in your Prove It Challenge, the confidence level they have in you is going up because you're providing an additional, an even better experience, right? And if they're the right people and they're engaging and they're participating like you've asked them to, what's going to happen is you have a lot of ammo in your camp all of a sudden. You could be like, oh my gosh, Amy, you've been totally doing such a cool job in the challenge group. You've been lifting everybody up. Your posts are super funny. Everybody, really loves you, and you're really good at that. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, what we do as distributors is we help people get good results, and we build relationships online and in person. And I feel like you'd be amazing at that. Have you ever thought about being a distributor? Right? And then you can tell them, all these reasons why you think they would be great, that are legitimate reasons. They're not just you're not blowing smoke. You're actually being honest with them, right? And then from there, that jump from customer to like a good distributor is all of a sudden that much shorter. And then if they're going to run their own challenge group, it becomes that much easier because they've already been participating in them. They've already been lifting everybody up. They've already seen how it works, right? And then from there, you can help them be a leader of their own and begin to rinse and repeat this whole process from friend to distributor. And that's how you build more leaders moving forward in your business. So, I mean, you've got some beautiful things in the Prove It Challenge, but just to recap what we've talked about today on this call, number one, start by attracting the right people who are passionate about health, the people who are passionate about nutrition, people who are passionate about um, helping other people, right? After you've done that, I want you guys to identify 4 to 5 things that are going to determine what's the values, beliefs, and behaviors of your culture are going to be. Then use those to attract those people. And then the second thing is provide an awesome experience. I mean, if you've got 50 to 80 people in your free group, you're going to have like this audience of people who are going to be empowered and who are going to be psyched about all the fun that you're having and the engagement. Honestly, I know it works. I've seen it work very well. Shoot for 50 to 80 people in there. If you can get them 50 to 100, maybe you can run them with another person. Sneak peeks are amazing. If you want to run those, it's an amazing way to find new customers and find new distributors. And then lastly is providing events. In-person events are my favorite. You can also run, almost a sneak peek is almost like an online event, but there's other different types of things you can do online as well. Um, then after that, the third thing really is going to be when running your challenge groups is run them all at one time, right? This is going to sound like a really crazy, unrelated story, but I'll tell you this: a book I was reading was talking about PTSD with people who served in Vietnam, and they're like, how come people in Vietnam have such high levels of PTSD? They couldn't figure it out. They're like, it's not like what they were the bloodshed and stuff was any different than what they were seeing in Korea or World War II. So why is the PTSD higher? And what they found is that they were sending people out to Vietnam one by one to join existing units, people who they didn't have a relationship with, people who didn't care about them, right? Um, the difference was at World War II in Korea is they were training them together as a unit and then sending them out together, and they had people who cared about them and had their back, right? So that's what they determined was making the difference. Now I know it's a little bit different in warfare. It's a highly traumatic experience. But when you're going through something hard, you want to go through it with somebody like start to finish. And there's something to be said about doing it that way. Um, then from there, honestly, I, I can't even remember what I said about PS. But so you want to have a specific start date and peer support. That's what peer support, PS stands for peer support. You want to make sure that you get them engaging with each other, lifting each other up, and you set that proper expectation. And then you want to make sure to engage with them as well when they post and remember what they're saying. That way you can use it as a tool to help you talk to them about being a distributor in the future. So I hope these tips were good for you in terms of how to get people into your challenge groups and then how to effectively transfer somebody from a customer to a distributor. But I know that you guys are going to be able to do amazing things. You guys are going to be able to go out there and just absolutely smash it when you put these principles into practice. But I just want to let you guys know I'm here for you guys. If there's anything I can do to support you or your teams, it's my job to make sure that you guys are well supported. So thanks for having me on the call tonight. Matt, is there anything else? Anything else you want me to add?
No, that's great. I know a few people had to go, but does anybody have any questions real quick? There's to ask Joe before he loses his voice. There's some Shackley products for that, Joe. I'm sure you haven't been told
I
that.
know I've been slamming them.
Good.
Got the all sorts of stuff.
Good.
Well, I've kept you guys for a long time. I felt like there's a lot of information to cover. I hope that you guys benefit from it, though. Thanks for having me on tonight. I appreciate it, Amanda, and I hope you guys all have an amazing evening. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Joe.
Bye.
Thank you.